Welcome to another Kevin's English School's English learning video. Ever wondered why English pronunciation is so critical? Well, let's delve into that. Pronunciation is the foundation of communication in English, just as with any language. It's the bridge that connects words to understanding. Good pronunciation enhances clarity and boosts comprehension, making your conversation smoother and more enjoyable. Now here's the catch. Despite its importance, pronunciation is often overlooked in the process of English learning. Many focus on grammar, vocabulary, and writing, forgetting that pronunciation is the heartbeat of effective communication. Imagine knowing all the words but not being able to articulate them clearly. That's like having a sports car with no fuel. It may look good, but it won't get you anywhere. So let's put pronunciation back in the spotlight where it belongs. It's not about perfecting an accent or sounding like a native speaker. It's about being understood. It's about confidence. It's about expressing yourself effectively. Just remember, the goal is not to sound like a native speaker, but to communicate clearly and confidently. So what makes up pronunciation in English? Well, let's dive right into it. Pronunciation is primarily composed of four key elements: sounds of letters, stress, intonation, and rhythm. Starting with the sounds of letters, this refers to the unique sound each letter in the English alphabet makes. For example, the letter A can sound like I in day or R in apple. Next, we have stress. Stress is about emphasizing certain syllables or words. For instance, in the word present, do you stress the first syllable to mean a gift, or the second to mean to introduce? Then we move on to intonation, which is the rise and fall of your voice when speaking. It's the difference between a question, a statement, or an exclamation. Lastly, there's rhythm. English is a stress-timed language, meaning some syllables last longer while others are shorter. By understanding these elements, you're already on your way to improving your pronunciation. Ready to take your pronunciation to the next level? Here are some steps to guide you. First off, let's talk about the power of listening. Tuning into native English speakers is a fantastic way to train your ear. You can do this by watching English movies, listening to podcasts, or tuning into English radio. Try to mimic what you hear. It's like a workout for your mouth, and it can be a lot of fun too. Next up, tongue twisters. They're not just a silly game, they're a serious tool for improving pronunciation. Tongue twisters challenge you to produce sounds quickly and correctly. Try saying "she sells seashells by the seashore" quickly and clearly. It's not as easy as it sounds, is it? But with practice, you'll find your pronunciation improving. Now let's move on to a tool you probably carry around with you every day: your smartphone. Using your phone to record yourself speaking can be a great way to spot areas for improvement. Listen back to your recordings and note any words or sounds that you're struggling with. Then focus on these areas in your practice. And speaking of smartphones, let's not forget about the wealth of pronunciation apps available. These apps can provide you with instant feedback and help you to practice specific sounds. They can even guide you through the subtle nuances of English pronunciation, which can be particularly tricky for non-native speakers. But let's not forget the most important step of all: practice. Yes, it's a cliche, but it's true. The more you practice, the better your pronunciation will get. Try to incorporate pronunciation practice into your daily routine. Speak English whenever you can, whether you're ordering a coffee, talking to a friend, or even just talking to yourself. Remember, practice is key. The more you practice, the better your pronunciation will become. There are some common mistakes that English learners often make. Do you want to know what they are and how to avoid them? Let's start with mispronounced words. This is a common pitfall, but it's also one of the easiest to fix. The English language can be tricky, with words often spelled one way and pronounced another. For instance, the word subtle. The B is silent, so it's pronounced subtle. The best way to tackle this is to listen and repeat. Use resources like online dictionaries that provide audio pronunciations. Next, we have incorrect stress placement. Stress in English words is important. It's the difference between content, a noun meaning satisfaction, and content, an adjective meaning willing. Misplacing the stress can change the meaning of the word entirely. To avoid this, try to identify the syllable that carries the stress in each word you learn. Now let's talk about intonation, the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. In English, we use intonation to convey meaning. For example, when asking a question, the pitch of our voice typically rises at the end. If we don't do this, It might sound like we're making a statement instead of asking a question. To improve your intonation, listen to native speakers and try to mimic their rhythm and pitch changes. A great tip is to record yourself speaking. This might feel a bit awkward at first, but it's incredibly helpful. You'll be able to hear your mistakes more clearly and track your progress over time. Lastly, remember that practice makes perfect. Don't be too hard on yourself if you make mistakes. They're a natural part of the learning process. The key is to keep trying, keep listening, and keep practicing. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that everyone's English pronunciation journey is unique. Don't compare yourself to others. Instead, focus on your own growth and improvement. Avoiding these common mistakes will significantly improve your pronunciation. So keep going, keep learning, and you'll get there. Trust me, it's worth the effort. So, we've covered quite a bit today. Let's quickly recap. We started by discussing the importance of English pronunciation. It's vital because it not only helps others understand you better, but it also boosts your confidence when communicating in English. Next, we delved into the elements of pronunciation. We discovered that it's not just about how you pronounce words, but also about understanding stress, intonation, and rhythm. Then, we navigated through steps to improve pronunciation. Remember, listening attentively to native speakers, recording and analyzing your own speech, and practicing tongue twisters can be immensely beneficial. And let's not forget about those common mistakes we tend to make, like mispronouncing vowels and consonants, and how we can avoid them with careful practice and patience. Improving English pronunciation may seem challenging, but with persistence and practice, you can definitely master it. Keep practicing and never give up.